You know how else we get stuck in our self-negative is when we want other people to compliment us. Like, look what I'm
Praise.
doing. Yeah, look. Oh, they didn't recognize
Praise.
it. Yeah,
That's praise and ego.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, when I was in my Mr. Little One prime, I was an egotistical prick.
Mhm.
Look at me. That's my Hummer. I'm on the radio. You know who I am? That's all I cared about. Now, when I reflect on those times, I can't even believe that I was that guy.
Mm.
The less people know, the better.
Yeah.
That's what I meant between a secret and things being sacred.
Yeah.
You know, now when I have personal time, it means something.
Exactly.
Some things are left to be private.
Yeah.
Wanting people to see your life and wanting people to see, you know, what you're doing and how you're doing and look at me, like, that's all ego, dude.
Yeah.
Praise is a bad thing.
Yeah.
My brother Raymond,
Come on, Uno.
welcome to the telescope room, bro.
I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here.
Hey, man, it's an honor to have you, bro.
Thank you.
You know, I was saying that a lot of people always ask me to come on the show, but there's an objective to the show.
Yeah.
It's not about just having, you know, the homie from down the way to come in here and say how many 40 ounces he drinks. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there has to be a story, and the story has to be like, you know, the objective of the show is being victorious from despair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when I say despair, you know, I just mean real life struggles
Yeah.
that placed you in a situation to be victorious where you're at now. And you can look back and say, I learned from that.
I love that. It's authentic, right?
Yeah, it's
Come on.
authentic, man. So usually, bro, you know what we become archaeologists.
Mm.
We're gonna excavate. We're gonna
dig.
excavate down to the story. We're gonna go back to the beginning, talk about your life and where you're at now. So let's go back to the beginning for those that don't know. And who is Raymond?
Man, I'm a pastor. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm an author. I'm a person who just wants to make an impact in my city that I live in. I'm a people person. Like, I'm passionate for people. That's the thing. Ever since I was little, I was always a social butterfly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I could step into any room and start a conversation with anybody.
I was the same way.
Yeah.
They put me in public speaking in high school, and I was like, whoa, it was crazy. You know, like in
Yeah.
a room, different colors, you know what I mean? And different neighborhoods, because they used to bus us out to school, you know?
Okay, yeah.
So it was like, oh, you know, my name is so-and-so, and the stories were different, but in the end, they were kind of the same.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't
know?
matter who it is. I could start a conversation. I get that from my uncles, basically, because they could just start a conversation and just run with it. And I think I picked that up for my whole family, just joking around with people, talking to people, and just carry on a conversation.
All right. So you grew up in San Diego.
San Diego, born and raised. My wife and all my children, we were all born in the same hospital.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Scripps in
dope.
Chula Vista.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's super, super dope.
Didn't plan it, but it happened.
But it happened.
Yeah.
Right? That's the way it happens, man.
Yeah.
So where did you grow up in San Diego?
I grew up in the beginning. I grew up in Palm Avenue.
On Palm Avenue.
Yeah, in the South Bay. It was my
rough
mother.
neighborhood, huh?
Yeah, but luckily for me, I wasn't in that environment. I grew up with my
No, you
mom.
weren't a product of the environment.
Come on now. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Right? The environment was the environment.
Yeah.
But you didn't become a product of the environment.
Exactly. It wasn't until middle school my mother moved out because we were living with my tia and my nana.
Oh, okay.
And she moved out on her own, and it was my brother and my sister, and we lived there, and we grew up in Chula Vista. And that's where we grew up. We went to high school, middle school, and that's where I did. And I still reside in Chula Vista to this day. But my whole family, there's probably like 11 brothers and sisters. But growing up, there was only my twin brother and my little sister.
Oh, so you guys all met later?
Yes and no. See, I met my dad when I was like 9 years old. But when I met him, they introduced him as my uncle.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
that's the typical Mexican family, though.
Mexican.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until his life was getting right, they introduced us. That's when I found out I'm actually adopted. So
Who was adopted?
My twin brother, myself, and my little sister.
Oh, you guys are all adopted.
Yeah. So my mom right now, she's actually my tia. So my dad's sister adopted all three of us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you meet your biological mother?
Never did. Never did. I had the opportunity to, but we never did. So when everything came out,
How old were you?
I was 9 years old.
When all that, that's a lot of
Everything.
information to process.
It is. It is. I remember my tia, but I always call her my mom.
That's your mom.
Yeah, that's
well,
my
she's
mom.
your mom.
Yeah, she took us ever since we were newborns because we were preemies. We grew up in the environment as in we had stuff in our system when we were born. It was just, so she told us everything and she gave us the opportunity of what we wanted to do. And my twin brother and I, organically, we looked at her and was like, you know what, you're our mom. You raised us from the beginning. Nothing's changed. So I go through days where I forget I'm even adopted because that's my mom.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, that's just a word that was created by humanity to categorize you.
Exactly.
In all due reality.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. In the end, what you feel internally and who you bond with internally has no name.
Exactly.
It's a feeling. You know what I'm saying? And wow, that's crazy. I met my dad later on in my life when I was already older too. Mm-hmm. My mom died when I was really young. So I went like half my life with my mom. She passed. And then like the second half of my life, I met my dad. But I was still not in a really good place. So I was still a little bit scattered about how I felt about him. And I didn't want to like mislead him or give him false emotions. Yeah. I just kind of wanted to see who he was, you know. Later down the road, you know, we became a little bit closer and we're good friends.
That's good.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. See, for us, because of our culture, it was always like family. So we're so used to hugging and loving that we accepted him as our dad. He went from uncle to dad like in 3 months.
That's crazy. Yeah. It's my uncle, but he's my dad.
So it will get weird later on in life, as in they're like, well, this is your mom and that's your dad, but they're brother and sister. I'm like, well, let's take a step back. Well, let me explain to you. That's when people start finding out our story, because even people to this day don't even know. But it's like,
and some don't need to know.
They don't. Yeah.
You know, there's some things that are meant to stay
exactly
where they're at.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. How old are you?
I'm 32.
You're 32 and you're a pastor.
That is correct.
So how did that happen?
Oh man, my mother always took us to church as a young age. So,
I read that.
Yeah, so probably by like 16, I stopped going. I started to do my own thing. But as I got older, I realized there was a void in my life.
When you say my own thing, what do you mean?
My mom stopped going to church probably when I was like 13 years old, and my twin brother and I decided to keep going.
Okay.
Until we stopped going on our own. Like, I'm like, yeah, I want to do my own thing. I feel like
you wanted to go explore.
Exactly.
Without church. Yes, without the obligation of church.
Yeah, without the idea of religion saying you can't do this.
Yeah.
So, but then when I realized there was like a void in my life, I was like going on a spiral downhill.
Of course.
Yeah. And I was like, I think I'll go to church. And nothing was making sense in my life. And it was a Saturday night. I told my mom, hey, I think I'm going to go to church. She laughed at me. I was like, no, I think I'm still going to go tomorrow. So I ended up going, and I realized this is where I need to be. Not in a sense of religion, but I need a relationship. That's what I need.
An environment that feels safe.
Yes.
That you can identify with.
Exactly.
You know, it's funny because I've always been a big believer of not calling on God when you are suffering only.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people do. They start, when there's something about to happen, that's when they remember.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it shouldn't be that way.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
When I started going back to church, it was really confusing because I'm like, because I was so used to religion. I was so used to, you can't do this. Like, you have to go to church in a suit. You can't chew gum. You can't wear hats in church. And I get into an environment where it's not about religion. It's more about a relationship. It's all about grace. And I was like, man, this is something that makes me feel included. And that's where I started building. And then I always knew I wanted to be in ministry. I just didn't know what that looked like. And there was a point where if God was tugging on my heart, and when he said go this route, I was like, I don't want to go that route, because I had other dreams, I had other plans I wanted to do,
Right.
but it just seemed like nothing panned out, or else I got too afraid to go that route, so I didn't pursue it.
Okay.
And next thing you know, I ended up where I'm at.
And what did your peers and your friends and your brother and other people say when you decided to stick to the church?
Some people were like, that's not you. I know you. And this doesn't add up with this. And my family like, oh, I'm so glad he's back in church. You're like, thank you, Jesus.
Did you ever get in trouble? Like, were you going down that route where you started getting in trouble? You were hanging around with the wrong crowd, maybe getting in trouble with the law, anything like that?
I never got in trouble with the law. Thank you, Jesus, on some of the stuff. I just never got caught. But it was mostly on just the decisions I was making in life. It wasn't in a sense where I was like the person that people wanted to be around with, but I look back like it wasn't a person I would want to be around with.
I don't know if you remember the first time that we met and we talked a little bit, and I told you that I started understanding that I wanted to move in a better direction when things that things that were going on in my life, they didn't feel good anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't like the way it felt.
It was also success
Right.
I was having, but it just didn't feel good.
Oh, no, yeah. Success, money in the bank is not success.
Oh, of course.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you went on with the church. Here you are now, and you wrote a book.
That is correct.
How did that come about?
Man, I wasn't even planning on writing a book. It was always something that was in my heart. And it was just as when I started my church, it started with a vision. It started with just something in my heart. And then in order to act on it, I had to start bringing it to life. Or else it would have just stood in my mind, or else it would have just been another daydream. I had to pursue it. And with the book, it's just I started writing. It started off with notes I would write to myself during risk-taking moments in my life. And as more notes started coming on, I just started to make it more organized because it was all over the place. It was all over my phone, on my notes. It was all over notebooks. And I was like, let's get organized here. And I would read them like, man, that was actually good. Did I put that down?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. And then I was like, I'm going to run with it. I'm going to pursue it. And I feel like experiences in my life could help other people.
Yeah, that's
key.
That's the key.
Yeah.
That's ultimately the key. And go ahead.
People mostly, like if they write a book, it's because they want to get famous.
Some. Yeah, I still believe that there are a lot of people in the world that do write books for the right reasons.
Exactly.
I still believe that. But there are some people that are infatuated with the fame and the false pretense of helping people.
Exactly.
And that's a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
That's a really dangerous thing. That's the master degree of manipulation. Mm-hmm. When people ask me, have you read The Laws of Power? I'm like, I don't read those books. Mm-hmm. Those books teach you how to manipulate people.
Yeah.
They don't teach you how to grow.
Exactly.
So I took some notes on your book, which is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask you some things, and then, maybe we could speak on them.
Sounds good.
So before we get to this, let me ask you this. When you decided to move on with your faith and stay loyal to that, path, did you feel like you were taking a risk by doing that?
Oh, yeah. I believe we take a lot of risk in life. It's a risk to decide what we're going to eat, what we wear, and how we act on that on a certain day. But it's the bigger risk that we avoid. Even pursuing to launch a church, it was a risk because of the what if in your mind, the fear that was never meant.
I read that
to
part
have
in your book,
in our life, but yet we give it the opportunity to speak when it never had the opportunity, but we allow it.
And these are the type of conversations that make the clips, the promo clips to promote the conversations that are based on depth like that, because a lot of people don't understand the power of that voice in their head.
Yeah.
and how dangerous and how much it plays a part in people's success and destruction.
Oh yeah.
So let me start with a couple of notes that I wrote. So you said becoming a risk taker requires courage, like a vehicle requires gas to operate.
Yes.
But many times, courage is often replaced by negative energy. We give to ourselves the possibility of what could go wrong before we even start thinking of the steps to take.
Yes.
Elaborate on that.
Just like it says furthermore down, it's the negative energy that we place on ourselves. And for me, I realized it was mostly just because of what I was taught growing up. And
You were conditioned.
Yes.
The social conditioning, the traditional thinking.
Yeah. So like, oh, you got to always be in a safe zone. You always have to make sure you have a job, go straight to college. Don't grab a credit card because you'll mess up your credit.
Yeah.
Just stay safe. And if you step out of line, then you could fail. And it's always a you could part that steps in. And then what if it doesn't go the way you want? Yeah, you got dreams, but it doesn't align up with what we want for you. So what if it doesn't go that way?
We want for you,
Yeah.
not what you
Yes.
want for you. Me with music, huge risk, supposedly.
Yeah.
To me, it wasn't a risk because it was my passion.
Yeah.
Nothing was going to stop me from doing what I was going to do. And I heard it all. That's for colored people. That's for this. You're never going to get nowhere. What? You make music? Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
Nothing stopped me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I went in and I continued and it worked out. Now, I like this about what you said. I didn't say the complete thing. I stopped it there. You said, a risk taker is not moved by whether he will succeed or fail.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that something that you practiced in your life when you were ready to take this move? Because I'm sure you got a lot of different opinions, a lot of different voices, even from people you love.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So whether when you were ready to start your church, whether you were going to succeed, I don't think that there was a part of you that really allowed yourself to believe that you were going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly. Even with launching the church, I mean, I had family support, but then I had family that just did not agree with it. That just was.
What was it that they didn't agree with?
I was too young.
I
was too young. I didn't.
Take on that responsibility.
Yes.
Because a pastor's supposed to be in his late 60s or late 50s, huh?
Even other churches in my city didn't agree with this because I was young. Because you don't become a pastor until you have some white hair or.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Now,
Yeah.
wouldn't you say that that's putting conditions on your purpose?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's not that. And I don't want to bag on anything.
No.
I would say that is subliminally betraying what you praise.
Exactly. It's all good if we fall in line, but once you see
in their line, according to their line.
But and if it steps out of their line, then it's chaos.
It's chaos,
and they don't like it. But see, the thing about it, if it was in my heart a vision, and I want to pursue it, then I'm gonna run with it, even if I fail.
But because it came from a good place.
Yes.
Things that come from a good place, they end up in a good place.
Exactly.
And, we were talking about this earlier. That's difficult for somebody that is unconscious to understand.
Exactly.
If I've learned anything, and this is going to sound very deep, but I've learned this the hard way by doing exactly this, stepping back and being able to see it from the outside.
Yeah.
Now, when somebody is unconscious, the things that are meaningful, like forgiveness, love, participation, mutualism, respect, become meaningless.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the things that are meaningless, like social media and assumptions and finger pointing and destruction, become meaningful.
Yeah.
So if you're in a situation in your life where the things that are meaningful are meaningless, and the things that are meaningless are meaningful, you need to take a step back and mentally and emotionally examine and purge immediately.
Exactly. That's good.
Because think about it. The things that are important for some reason are not important to somebody that's unconscious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the things that mean absolutely nothing mean everything to someone that's unconscious. So, like you said, you being on your path and you being on your purpose and coming from a good place, and for some people to still have an opinion about it, bro, you're doing something good.
Yeah. But
that's not hurting anybody.
All that goes out the window because they don't like it. And because they don't like it, it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. But for me, I have to keep looking. Like you said, whether I fail or succeed, it really doesn't matter. But I tried. I went for it. I took a risk and I ran. And people think like if you fail, many times we don't push forward because we always think of the failure. Everyone's going to see and everyone's going to hold that.
You know what I say? And I've been saying this for a long time. When someone says like everyone thinks this or I always say, who's everyone?
Yeah.
And who cares?
Exactly.
Who cares? And who's everyone? There's Instagram life and then there's real life.
Exactly.
Some things are not a secret. They're supposed to remain sacred.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And some people are not able to tell the difference. Like, who cares if a person thinks something? Are you going to correct everyone that has an opinion about you? The reality is that when you're good privately, it always shows publicly.
Exactly.
You don't have to say anything. You don't have to post anything. You don't have to do anything. When you just are, you just are, bro.
That's so good. Yeah. And that's one thing I love. Authentic.
Authenticity, bro.
Yes.
Authenticity, bro. I'm sure that you deal with this now being a pastor and being so advanced in your purpose and in your growth. When you meet new people that come to the church that are looking for a safe environment and are looking for guidance, it starts with being brutally honest of where you are at in your life.
Exactly.
And I'm sure that you having to relay that to them can be a challenge sometimes because some people don't want to look at things for what they are.
Yeah.
They'd rather do this.
Exactly.
And point fingers and because you this and because you this. And if you wouldn't have done that, and how about the time you done? Nobody deserves to be served their sins for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Exactly.
The key in my life was using my repent and my shortcomings as a tool to make me better.
Exactly. One of the main keys in order to move forward in life is taking responsibility.
Yes.
Responsibility, whether I succeeded, whether I failed, whether I made a mistake, take ownership.
Take ownership.
Because I love one thing I wrote in a book that I've learned from Kobe Bryant. He said, failure doesn't exist. It only exists if we stay where it's at. But if we learn from it, what to do in the future, then it's not a failure. It's actually a lesson. And that's something that I look back like, man, how many times have I allowed failure to hold me back?
And like you said, you actually allowed something that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
It's like Don Miguel Ruiz said, there's nothing wrong with existence. There's something wrong with the existence you create for yourself.
Exactly.
The psychological reality that we create for ourselves puts up mental barriers from real life. Mm-hmm. And when you are consumed in your own reality, you're not willing and open-minded or open-hearted enough to look at things for what they are.
Yeah.
And as long as you live like that, you're unconscious.
Yeah.
You have a blindfold on.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't seem that way because people decorate themselves externally.
Yeah.
So they seem fine. But that's a dangerous place to be. And that's a dangerous environment to be in.
And to stay in.
And to stay in.
Yeah.
To continue to stay in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look, bro, Anyone can say anything they want.
Yeah.
If you continue to stay in that environment, the only thing that is 1,000,000% guaranteed that is going to happen is your life is going to get worse.
Yeah.
Don't matter how beautiful you are. Don't matter how handsome you are. Don't matter how much money you have. Don't matter how big your muscles are. Don't matter how many likes you get. If you stay in your dysfunction will get worse and you will self-destruct.
That is correct. Oh, that's so good. That's a word. Come on.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
You said something else that was beautiful. You said, speak life, not death.
Exactly. I think it's a culture thing where we like to bring ourselves down, then encourage ourselves. I have a chapter in there that says we have to be our own cheerleaders in life. We can't expect other people to push us forward. We have to start speaking like, I could do that. I'm able to. I could reach my goals. If I try hard enough, I could do it.
Self-belief.
Yes. And,
Self-belief.
But many times we're like, I can't. I won't.
You know what? It's funny how you were saying right now that we have to be our own cheerleaders. You know what ends up happening in life when you live in the vertical path and you live in a path of doing the right thing and doing things from a good place? You meet other people doing things from a good place. You meet other people on the vertical path.
Yeah.
And then you have a circle of people that are just as ambitious as you are.
Yeah.
And that are just as pure as you are. And that have a purpose just like you. And then you really feel the difference between having a circle and having a cage.
Yeah. You know how else we get stuck in our self-negative? Is when we want other people to compliment us. Like, look what I'm
Praise.
doing. Yeah, look. Oh, they didn't recognize
Praise.
it. Yeah,
That's praise and ego.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, when I was in my Mr. Little One prime, I was an egotistical prick.
Mm-hmm.
Look at me. That's my Hummer. I'm on the radio. You know who I am? That's all I cared about. Now, when I reflect on those times, I can't even believe that I was that guy.
Mm.
The less people know, the better.
Yeah.
That's what I meant between a secret and things being sacred.
Yeah.
You know, now when I have personal time, it means something.
Exactly.
Some things are left to be private.
Yeah.
Wanting people to see your life and wanting people to see, what you're doing and how you're doing and look at me, like, that's all ego, dude.
Yeah.
Praise is a bad thing.
Yeah.
When you revolve your life around praise, you're going to fail.
Yeah. We abuse it.
Yes. It's another form of sabotage.
Yeah.
You become so dependent on external validation that you forget who you are.
Yeah. We get lost in it.
You get lost.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of the ocean trying to figure out how you got there.
And all of a sudden you lose your identity because your identity, you left it with other people. And all of a sudden, if they're not showing you what you want, you don't know who you are anymore. So you start putting the negativity on it.
One of the biggest tragedies in life is living in a limited identity.
Yeah.
Being a limited version of yourself. Living a limited life. Having limited thoughts. Speaking a limited language. That's all horrible.
Even as a pastor, I have to remind myself because I always look at my faith. I'm like, okay, my identity is found in Jesus. And Jesus says, I can do all things through him. Then I'm like, I'm able to. Why am I always putting myself down? Why am I always allowing fear to speak? Always putting the what if. I want to hold on to the even if. Because even if I fail,
that's dope.
Still,
I like that.
Still,
that's beautiful.
To,
even if.
I said, fear will always say, what if? What if you fail? But faith will say, even if.
That's
even
beautiful.
If it doesn't.
I love that. That's beautiful. Not only that, but remember, you're a leader, bro.
Yes.
You're going to have an internal battle. I'm a leader. I have the internal battle. It's what we become and what we make and what we choose to be dominant in our life. When you want your dysfunction to be dominant, you're going to have a dysfunctional life.
Yeah.
When you want your growth to be dominant, you're going to grow.
Yeah.
And it will show.
Oh, yeah.
Like I always say, when you're good privately, it will always show publicly. You can look at somebody and you could see if they're going through some
Oh
things.
yeah.
You can look at somebody and know if they have tranquility.
Yeah.
In life, we have to seek and capture the bliss, and we have to let the bliss capture us too.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
mutualism. You can't have one without the other.
Exactly.
You know, people cheat on their taxes. People cheat, but you can never cheat your growth, your faith.
Yeah.
You can't. It's impossible.
That's so good because I also look at it. You could cheat everyone around. You could lie to them. You can't lie to yourself. You could
No.
try to
The
say
only
you're
person you cheat is yourself anyway.
Yes.
You know, you got to go home with the truth because everywhere you go, there
Exactly.
you are.
Exactly.
You know,
That's why when people say, "How are you?" They're like, "Oh, what's the common word? I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good."
I'm fine.
And my next thing is like,
yeah.
"No, now, but how are you really?"
Bro, we were just talking about this on the last episode. Another thing that I thought you said that was beautiful, you said, it's the little results that make a significant impact.
Yes.
You know what I take from that in my journey? I think it's important for someone that may be listening. When people can count on you,
Yeah.
when your word means something,
Yeah.
when people know that they can depend on you when you say you're going to do something,
Yes.
when you make promises that you can keep,
Yeah.
when you honor what you say you're going to do,
That's a good one.
when when you are sincere to what you plan out to do. Because the moment you regress and the moment you keep breaking your promises and the moment that you continue to be impulsive and destructive, what does that say about your past? Bro, how do you expect anyone else to believe in you when you don't believe in yourself?
Exactly.
And to think that there are situations where people believe in you anyway,
Mhm.
and people are not even grateful for that.
Yeah.
Bro, there's people that are really unconscious in life that have everything they want: love, support, participation, growth, home, you name it.
It's not
And
enough.
it's not enough.
Yep.
And it is not enough. Like, that still leaves me baffled at times,
Yeah.
where you can do and you can do and you can do, and it's never enough.
It's never enough. It's never grateful of what's right here in front. They want the bigger. They want,
want
the
more.
The more.
And when they get the more, they want more.
Yeah. They don't know when to stop.
They don't know when to
They
stop.
don't. They don't. And it's the little results. Little results make a big difference in life because it's closer than you were yesterday or closer than you were before even starting. I realize we're in a generation where people don't like the journey. People don't like to take the road because of how long it takes.
But everybody wants to be happy.
Yes.
But everybody wants the big rainbow at the end.
Oh, of course. They want the end. They want the end result.
They don't want the journey.
No, they don't want to work out to get skinny. They just want.
I say the same thing. It's if you're driving home right now and your maintenance check engine light comes on, you're gonna go to the shop.
Yeah.
Because you want your car to get fixed and take you where you need to go.
Yeah.
But when your internal check engine light comes on, people don't go do what they need to do so they can really go where they need to go.
Right.
They rather stay and break down little by little by little by little.
Yeah.
And when you're broken like that, you attract other people that are broken just like you.
Exactly.
And then you get broken results. And then it becomes a vicious cycle of madness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, another thing that I really, really liked is you said evaluating the outcome.
Yes.
Talk about that.
I think we always need to be prepared. We shouldn't just jump in without being prepared or having a plan. I think it's good to be organic, but also reassure yourself of what you're getting yourself into and always make sure that you're prepared. Many times we always enter relationships unprepared. We always enter a new work environment unprepared, or even life unprepared.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think people jump from person to person to person to person religiously?
I once said, it says in the Bible to guard your heart above all else. And when I looked at that, I was like, man, a heart. I mean, we have so many, our mind, our brain, our liver, our kidneys, but it says your heart. And as a young age, if we go, because I was raised with a single mom, so I had to learn a lot of things on my own. And I
A
realized
lot of things she couldn't teach you.
exactly. And it was like we're giving our heart to somebody who was never intended to have your heart, but we give it anyway because of the moment. And when we get it back, we don't get it back the same way we give it.
Yeah.
And so now we're trying to give our hearts to other
So
people,
maybe
thinking
you
they're
will.
going to fix it.
Maybe you will.
But
Maybe.
all of a sudden, it's not looking the way when we first had
And
it.
it's
Now,
damaged
each
and
time we get it
damaged.
back, we're missing a piece. It's looking like a different color. And all of a sudden, yet we're stuck in a cycle of more and more. Maybe it's this one, maybe it's that one. When in reality, we had to hold on to it, allow healing on ourselves, but yet we don't want healing. We always want the end result. We want to be happy. I don't want to go through the journey of self discovery or self recovery because that takes too long. I want to heal now. Maybe this person, because they look good on the outside. I look good. Yes.
Yeah, but you see, if there's no self-love, there's guaranteed. If there's no self-love, there's guaranteed self-destruction.
It's just like you can't expect someone to love you if you don't love yourself. As in, like, you can't expect someone to respect you if you don't respect yourself. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it goes hand in hand.
I used to say, one of the things that was very difficult for me is, why do I give somebody the power to do this to me? Right. Then I realized that it's not necessarily giving power to somebody. When you grow and your heart becomes gentle, and you have compassion for someone's dysfunction, you give somebody trust. Mm-hmm. You give them belief. You give them forgiveness. Yeah. You give them participation. You give them hope. And when they let you down, you collapse. Yeah. Like, man, you know why? You can't buy that. No. You can't order it online. You can't go to the store and be like, on what aisle can I buy forgiveness and trust? Mm-hmm. And so when you repeatedly give that to someone and they don't reciprocate it, it creates emotional damage. Yeah. And that is where advanced part of growth shows up. Do you tolerate that? Yes. Do you continue to tolerate somebody that doesn't reciprocate your love?
In order to grow, we have to cut off areas that hold us back. And that also includes people. That includes family. If they're
vices.
Not, yes. Yeah, because if not, it's just going to keep you in the same environment, the same situation. So it's healthier to cut.
And here's the thing, though. A lot of people don't want to pick up the scissors, though.
No.
Because they
well, it's because that's who they are. If I lose this, then I have no reason. What am I going to complain about? That's my reason why I get to be the way I am. It's the reason why I'm angry. So if I get rid of this, I can't be angry no more. There's no excuse.
Or I'm going to find somebody else to be angry to.
Exactly.
And destructive too.
Yeah.
Now, here's the best one. Philippians 3:13, right? Mm-hmm. You said we should focus on one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead.
Yes.
Why do you think so many people still live in the past?
We feel like it's who we are. That's what defines us. That's like I said, when I first started going to church, they're like, well, that's not you. This is you. So they think that's you and they want to hold you if that's who it is. But I feel like once we let go and start moving forward, that's when our identity is found. In Colossians 3:3, it says, for your old life is dead and your real life is found hidden in Christ God. For me, I take that because that's our church's scripture. When you give your life to God, or when you turn your life over, that's when your real life begins. I believe our past, it doesn't define us. Our past is not who we are. I always say, your background doesn't disqualify you from a relationship with God. What you did yesterday, your mistakes, your downfalls, that's not who you are. Yeah. You know, one of the greatest things is if God doesn't see you that way, imagine if God will always look at you for your mistakes from
No,
your
yeah,
past.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, ask
Yeah.
forgiveness, grant forgiveness.
Exactly.
You can't move on anywhere
Mm-hmm.
with anyone if you're going to replay the past.
Exactly.
One of the things of psychological confinement is people replaying the past.
Yeah.
And it robs them of the present moment. And if they're not replaying the past, they're replaying the what if.
Yes.
What if of the future that doesn't even exist. And you get robbed of the present moment.
Yes.
And only in the present moment do you have the capability to actually experience what bliss is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Being married, having your wife, having children, that's a beautiful situation that comes with a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It comes with a lot of responsibility to take care of a family and to continue having your purpose. You have to support your wife. Your wife has to support you, and you guys have to be good leaders for your children.
Yes.
And they're going to pass on those traits to their children. That is so powerful,
mm-hmm.
because in all due reality and actuality, what we're doing is we're paving the way for other human beings that we're probably never going to meet.
Yeah.
Our great, 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 great grandkids. And it starts with us.
Yes. That's so good right there. Everything I do, because I don't know everything in the world.
None of us do.
Yeah, none of us do.
No.
I do my best.
Yeah.
And I will make mistakes just as anybody else. That's not what defines me.
There's a huge misconception of that.
Yeah.
People think because you're in church or you're a pastor that you're flawless.
Yeah. They hold you up in a pedestal like you can't do this, you can't make mistakes, you can't say hell because you're going to hell. And it's just it's like, I'm like you. Who wrote the Philippians? That 3:13 was a guy named Paul. And before he was Paul, he was Saul. And he used to kill Christians.
Oh, wow.
Yes, until God changed, had an intervention with him. And then he became Paul. And now he wrote 3/4 of the New Testament.
Oh, wow.
So he went from killing Christians to writing the 3/4 of the New Testament of the Bible that we have now. So, and he's saying, that who I was, you're going to know about it, but that's not what defines me.
Yeah.
That's not who I am anymore. Because we can't erase our past.
No.
Because if you didn't have your past, you wouldn't be who you are today.
There's nothing that we can do about things that are already done.
Exactly.
If you want to go this way, you can't continue to go that way.
Exactly.
That's just real life. If you make an agreement to move this way, you have to honor going this way.
Exactly.
The moment you dishonor going this way, you will end up that way.
Yeah.
And that is not growth. That's being stagnant.
It is.
That's being destructive.
Yes.
That's dysfunction at its best. Going backwards and going backwards and going backwards.
A lot of people, they've been church hurt. They think like because they walk into church, they're like, well, you're living a sinner's life. You're going to go to hell. And they expect that. But they're like, when I step in the scene, I'm like, no, trust me. I'm in the same place as you. We're in this journey together. What I'm here to do is show grace, to show love, to let you know, hey, look, you don't have to go through life alone. We're in this journey together.
You don't have to go through life alone.
Yes.
That's great, because there are a lot of young people out there that didn't have, family to rely on.
Yeah. That
they're by themselves right now, really young with, a limited version of themselves.
I'll tell you one thing. When I used to be a youth director, in high school, I was always, like I said, I was a social butterfly. So I talked to everybody. I was always in crowds. And so I never knew what it felt like to be alone. I never knew what it felt like to eat lunch alone. I got suspended one time in middle school. And my mom was like, I'm going with you to school. I'm like, oh, man, I can't take her where I actually hung out. So I went to go sit next to this guy who was always by himself. And mom was like, you don't eat here? I was like, yeah, I do. And the guy I'm sitting with was like just shocked that I was right there next to him.
Yeah.
And then, so two other girls came by like, Ray, what are you doing over here? I'm like, yo, bounce.
Yeah.
Bounce.
Yeah.
And mom was like, where does he really go? So they took me. But moments like that stuck with me. So when I became a youth director and when kids will always be around and they're like, yeah, I'm like, I'm great. I know you, but I want to go to this guy who's by himself.
Right.
Like, I want people to know like, hey, I'm glad you're here. I'm happy you're here. Let's do life together. What's your name? What do you like? Let's do life together, because there are people who don't know what it's like to feel a hug. There's people
Yeah.
who they don't get talked to throughout the week.
Bro, it goes back to what we're talking about. The things that are meaningful,
Yes.
not meaningless. Praise is meaningless.
Yeah.
Ego is meaningless.
Yeah.
Social media is. If I didn't have a platform to promote this podcast, I wouldn't have social media at this stage in my life.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The things that are meaningful, like you said, a hug, a conversation, participation, love, trust, forgiveness. For whatever reason, the people that don't embrace that, that's the real tragedy.
Yeah.
Those are the hardest things to come by. And you know what's crazy about it? Is that they're free.
Yeah. Exactly.
They're free.
It is. How easy it is just to pick up a phone and say, "Hey, I hope you're having a good day." And it makes someone's day, because you don't know what other people are going through.
It's just the conditioning of the world. The focus is in the wrong place.
Yeah.
The focus is in the wrong place.
Yeah. It's always on me.
Me. Look at me,
Yeah,
me. What
exactly.
about them? How come they don't know this and this and this? Like, dude,
Yeah.
you know, in my life and in my growth, a lot of people filtered themselves out,
Hmm.
you know, and my life is nice and quiet. I don't have parasitical environment. I don't have anything that is going to try to divert me into another direction. I live a quiet, peaceful, productive, authentic life.
And that's because you're aware
Yes.
of your health, of your self-health. Like, you can't have negativity. You can't have this
No.
parasite come and try to suck your happiness,
The life
away.
out of you.
Yeah, exactly. So you're like, I'm gonna do what I can to protect what I have right here.
Yeah, and again, that I always say this, and I know that it sounds redundant, but it's honoring your growth.
Yes,
When you are sincere to your growth, you just won't let that happen.
exactly. And I've heard you say that before, and it's always stuck with me. Honor your growth, because most of the time we never honor it.
No.
No, we even overlook it.
You got to honor it when nobody's looking.
Exactly.
That's the key to remember.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, as if you looked at my page just 2-3 years ago, there's pictures of me, my albums, my music videos. Like, I don't have none of that up there anymore. You know, as my life has evolved and transcended, you know, my page right now is a reflection of where I'm at in my life.
Yeah.
I get slack. Sometimes I get a comment from a guy that was a Mr. Little One fan before. Who do you think you are, a psychologist? Give me a break. You're that, you know, it doesn't matter.
You know.
Nothing matters. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what anybody says. It doesn't matter what anybody does. It doesn't matter what anybody posts. Nothing is going to stop me from fulfilling my purpose.
Because you got one person right here commenting, like, "Who do you think you are?" But yet you have another person over here
Saying thank you.
that's yes,
I needed
thank you.
that.
Exactly.
I appreciate you.
Because I know where you've been, and I'm in the same place. So if you're speaking like this, they're receiving that life.
Yeah.
They're in a dead spot.
Yeah, like you were talking about the song I'm Sorry,
Yeah.
you know, and I was telling you, like, I was growing, but I wasn't awake.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you hear me pleading with God, but I was drinking while I was recording that song.
Yeah. Yeah. You even said it. I mean, I got alcohol in me.
Yeah.
I'm getting lyrical, and
You know what
it's
I'm
so
saying?
authentic, though.
Yeah, I mean, and it was raw,
yeah.
but those were the lessons in my life that really shaped me to embrace the courage
Yeah.
to no longer be a limited version of myself.
That's good.
You know,
Yeah.
it didn't matter what anybody thought.
Yeah.
My life is it's based on purity.
Hmm.
You know, and you get people saying, who do you think you are? Yeah, you don't this and that. It doesn't matter. Like, I've created a world for myself. No, not even a world, a galaxy
Hmm.
for myself, where unless you're in that galaxy, then you have you can reach me.
Yeah.
If you're not in that galaxy, you can't reach me.
Nope.
The only way that people can see me is through the screen, but they can't get behind the screen.
Exactly. I was going to say a telescope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Some people, microscope, when people look at you through the microscope, it's based on greed.
Yeah.
And envy when people look through the telescope, it's based on love and purity. So if you can keep your eye on the telescope, you will see the galaxy.
Yeah.
If you look through the microscope, you will see a world of dysfunction.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. Bro.
That's good.
That's just the truth, you know. So before we wrap it up, tell me, how does it feel to be a young pastor, making it all the way to finally becoming a pastor, having that leadership title, and making a change?
It's a day by day process. My church is only 2 years old. We're still growing. We're still learning. And that's the great thing. I tell my leaders that I have, I'm like, you know, we don't have to be perfect. You know, one of my mentors told me, you don't have to be perfect. Just be willing to be perfected.
That's good.
And that's one of the things I always hold on to. Like, you know, we're going to make mistakes.
Yeah. And some people are not willing to take criticism.
Exactly. I just launched a business 3 months ago. And I'm like, we're going to keep growing, you know, whether, let's say, if the church tanks, if my business fails, if my marriage goes out of place, if I lose everything, you know, it doesn't define who I am, because I'm still going to keep moving forward. You know, I'm always going to learn from everything that happens. As a young pastor, I'm still growing. I'm still growing in my faith. I'm still growing on who I'm called to be, because there's no cap.
No.
There's no cap.
Just like, that's what I always say. Like, when you really live, like, surrendered to your growth, you don't have any walls or any ceilings or any doors.
Yes.
You just grow, dude. It's not like I'm going to grow, but I already grew to this point, so I'm good.
Yeah.
You just keep going.
There's always more room to grow. And I realized in my life, no matter if I spoke a message or if I heard a message and I heard it a different way, is speaking to me in a different route. Like we were talking about during the pandemic, how people were just stuck playing Call of Duty. Like for me, I was diving into podcasts. I was reading more books. I was trying to grow.
Nurture yourself.
Yes. I was like, I'm giving so much time that now I'm pursuing different work to earn more financially and to also grow as an individual. And now, we have the church. I launched a business. We're launching another business later on this year. I'm just growing as a person, as to be the best person I could be for myself first.
And then you can be, as long as when you're the best to yourself, then you can be the best to everyone else.
I have to be healthy.
Of course.
In order to take care of my family, the church, and because if I'm not healthy, I can't do what I'm able to do or make.
You would be a limited version of yourself.
Exactly.
Waking up, doing your best to not be a limited version of yourself is where the business is at.
It's just like with the book. I talk about how we want to take a step. We want to take a risk. But there's a difference between daydreaming and dream chasers. Yes. Many people just want to stay in daydreaming. I want to do this. I would love to. But they don't want to take the step of chasing a dream.
Well, resilience comes with that.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of people that they can't engage with resilience. I had so many obstacles that if I told you some stories, you'd be like, what? But nothing stopped me.
Yes.
Nothing ever stopped me. You know, it's like music is like probably 10% of my life right now. Mm-hmm. This is the chapter I'm on.
Yes.
And it's not about money. It's not about views. It's not about none of that. It's about having an authentic, pure, honest conversation.
Yes.
About real life, to be able to spread the message to other people that can grab it and do something with it.
Exactly.
Because we didn't have that. We need more leaders.
Yes.
And I congratulate you on being a leader.
I appreciate that.
I congratulate you on being a pastor. I congratulate you for, sticking to your courage and taking the risk and moving forward and writing that beautiful book you've read and being a good leader, not only to your peers and to your wife and your children and to me. So salute for that.
I appreciate that, truly.
So the name of your book, where could they get it?
It's called Taking a Risk. They're able to purchase it on my website, RaymondGRojas.com.
Okay, so y'all heard it. I want to thank you for coming, my brother.
Amen.
Respect to you.
Pleasure.
And
It's an honor.
I got to come by your church and hang out one day.
Let's go.
Salute, man.